If it hurts, you ain't afraid to go get you, don't let us put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, 2 games after this win in. Press you again, we're here for the first minute. Can everybody keep it every 6 minutes?
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Unbelievable place. Great university. Knoxville's unbelievable city, great people. The passion for football is even greater than I thought it would be. And man, Neyland Stadium, I said it, a couple of years ago, and I still think it's the best football experience for a college football fan or a player in the country.
I don't believe there are good people that pull for Georgia. I think they're all terrible, ugly, disgusting human beings. I think it's just that no, there are no good Georgia fans, Eric. There are none.
Just look around. You got the mountains. You got the most beautiful city in the whole entire country. The university is absolutely, looks like it's out of a storybook. It's just beautiful. People are incredibly genuine and extremely nice. It's just a place that obviously I'd want my kids to go to school. And it sells itself. You don't have to sell anything about this place. You just got to get them here. The old field of dreams. Yeah. Build it and they will come. It's already built.
And yeah, other than that, I think just the fans. I love the fans, the culture here. And yeah, that's pretty much why I chose it.
I'm gonna have to get him to start watching my film in the off season too.
Obviously, I watch Coach Hines' old clips. It's kind of like black because they ain't got that. They ain't got
black and white.
They ain't got the black and white film up, man.
Was a boy who was a dreamer, and he flew so high and proud. In a world full of people out, cut his young ass down. No one ever understood a single word he said, and they cast him to the wolves when he wasn't well and fed. Boys, we've got a riser in our midst. He will get the last laugh, it's the last thing he did. And he used to roll around in that red dirt mud. But now he's skipping town and that riser's out for blood. Don't stop going south, 'cause they'll let you play your music real damn loud. Don't stop heading south, 'cause they won't understand the words that are pouring from your mouth. Then that boy, he called his daddy to tell him what he did, as the master screamed the lyrics of a messed up kid. And then he told that old man he was never coming back, to be cut down again in a town like that. Then he surely came to learn people come to watch you fall, but he's out to make a name and a fool out of them all. They'll never understand that boy and his kind. All they comprehend is a fucking dollar sign.
Man, we already dropped the F-bomb right out of the gate. We've been live for 4 minutes, and an F-bomb rolled out. Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. Good Thursday evening. Hoping you guys are having a good time, man. I feel like we needed to put up the bat signal. We needed to gather together right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it. We're looking for a running backs coach. We're looking for a linebacker coach. They announced the orange and white game. We got news about that. You guys got to help us out, though. Smash the thumbs up. Share out the link. The channel's dying. I think it's already dead. Nobody watches the videos. Nobody shows up for the live streams. This may be the end. I may be going back to corporate America soon. I don't know. Is it because it's February? Is it because it's the dead period? I get it. But some of us eat, sleep, and breathe Tennessee football, and that's all we want to talk about every single day. One of those guys is sitting over here to, is it my left? Maybe your right on the radio dial. Coach Jay, what's going on, brother? You're decked out in orange. You want to talk Tennessee football all day, every day.
Always, man. Always, every single day. Waiting for my phone call. from Tim Banks to get the call up to the big leagues and lead the linebackers on to glory. Haven't gotten the call yet, but you got my number, Tim. Give old Coach Jay a call. Ready to go.
I mean, he's coached with about everybody, so I wouldn't be surprised if you coached with Tim Banks somewhere down the line. Captain D's in the house. Dustin, man, this feels like a post-game show. I put out the invite to just about everybody. Dustin, Coach Jay, Dauber answered the call. Dustin, how you doing, brother? I don't think you've been on a stream since the bowl game, maybe?
I think I jumped on the pregame for the bowl game, but the actual post game I did was the miserable Missouri game. I think that was the last one I ended up on. But we're still winning at life, so ended on a good note. It was nice to see that bowl win for sure, and a lot of changes, a lot of big things. I was thinking about this before the show started. It's like Thanksgiving Day where you've got. You can't make a decision. The plate's completely full, and you've got a million different things. Tennessee's plate is completely full of things going on right now, so I'm pumped to get into it.
Yeah, I didn't even mention the NCAA investigation. Like, we could get into that. We'll talk about whatever you guys in the chat want to talk about, even though every person here snuck in the back door. Not a single person paid the doorman. I will allow it. I will forgive you tonight. Dauber, long time no see, brother. The guy, I say Coach Jay's got a great hat game. Dauber's always got a great hat game. How you doing, brother? And what are you wearing? Like, that hat, it just looks legit, always.
Man, that was a little treat for myself after Christmas.
Oh, you buy yourself Christmas presents like I do.
It's after Christmas. Saw it online. I thought, man, just add one more to the collection. But yeah, like Dustin said, man, lots going on. Even though it's the off season, you got the coaching carousel. You got Mincy shooting off his mouth a little bit more too. That guy can't keep his gums closed. But yeah, baseball kicks off tomorrow. Hoops going strong. All kinds of stuff on the hill in Knoxville.
Man, I debated doing a watch party for that game tomorrow, but I don't think I'm going to. We got to get a watch party dialed up, scheduled soon. We'll do something, whether it's basketball, baseball. We'll figure something out. We got to plan our next live film breakdown. Man, that was a blast. If you guys missed it, I can't encourage you enough. Go back to the live tab on the YouTube channel. Go watch it. Like, we went full steam ahead. We had custom entrances. It was so much fun. Everybody thought Coach Jay was just going to walk away with it. It was close, man. The final votes were close, so I'm looking forward to the rematch. Joe Brown's in the house for two, says Trey Smith, getting folks away from gunfire. VFL. Yeah, what an unfortunate turn of events, but man, it's cool to see civilians take down a shooter like that. Like, those are like legitimate heroes. Keith for 20. That ain't cheap. That's an Orange Boy. He's paying the door fee for everybody. He's welcoming all of his friends, but that's Orange Boy. Let's play the clip.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Keith says, Dorfy, how's it going, guys? GBO. Let me update the leaderboard. Let me get Keith on there real quick as we get rolling out the door. Appreciate the $20. That is not cheap. That is very generous. So thank you for that. Jeff Olson becomes a member of the channel. Shout out to you members, man. We're still at a good spot. I'm proud of where we're at with members. Thank you guys for continuing to support us throughout the offseason. Jeff becomes a part of that. You guys can hit the join button down below. It's $1. $1. Custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, power T beside your name, all that good stuff. We would greatly appreciate the support, and shout out to Jeff. So thank you for that. Here's what we're going to do, man. We're going to talk about the orange and white game. We're going to talk about spring camp coming up, what we're excited about. And then obviously we got to talk about Jerry Mack going off to the NFL. We got to talk about Brian Jean-Marie going back to Michigan. We're going to get to it all, but I really want to start with the orange and white game because we got to do a meet and greet. We got to do a tailgate. We got to get together. And this came out. VolQuest posted this yesterday. Tennessee to play spring game in Neyland Stadium in front of a limited crowd. I don't think I need to go through this full article. April the 13th, 1 o'clock, 10,000 fans. The ticket sales, Coach Jay, are going to go out to season ticket holders first. You got to think, man, 10,000 tickets, they're probably going to be pretty limited for the regular fan that's not giving the donations, that's not, a season ticket holder. What do you think about that? we kind of laughed, what was it, a week or so ago, saying Josh Heupel wants this. Like, he wants those renovations. Let me keep this thing under wraps. But what were your initial thoughts? A lot of people pissed off about that 10,000 number.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. I think it's spring games are not coaches' best friends, right? They don't want to see injuries. They don't want eyes on their team. They want to keep it vanilla, or kind of create little sub games and little interesting point systems to kind of keep everyone engaged. But to be honest, as a coach, it's all just bullpucky, I guess is kind of the way to put it. Does it say what about students?
I've not seen
Did I miss?
anything. All I've
I
seen
haven't.
is
Yeah.
season ticket holders is all I've seen.
Okay. Yeah. Because I would have thought maybe students should have priority above anyone. Was kind of my first thought when I saw season ticket holders. But yeah, it's going to be extremely limited. Which I know Kaner was talking about this morning, how it's kind of fallen a long way, the whole spring games, and it's kind of been the cost of doing business and moving college football forward. It will still be on the SEC Network Plus, but look, that game is going to be vanilla as vanilla can be. They are going to sub out extremely quickly, and it's going to be a pretty boring day for whatever 10,000 fans get into the stadium. My personal opinion, with everything going on, they probably should have just not done it. I think that would have been Coach Jay's kind of decision if I were at the helm.
I thought that's where they were going to go. I thought they were going to do like they did previously, where it was they did it, but it was just open to family and recruits. And I think it was AP was talking about that, and a lot of people were even critical of that. And AP was like, they had a lot of success recruiting when it came to that specific year. There was a lot of one-on-one time. There wasn't the fanfare and all the fluff that went into it. By the way, Brain Shadman, I'm glad you're here. Dauber was late. I've been here waiting to go live. Dauber. Blame Dauber. Don't blame me. You guys always want to blame me. Wade Rouse says late. Joey saying let's go. Everybody's saying what is up? What is the problem? Don't blame me. Don't blame me.
I will say that I didn't get a text until like 6:05. Said, hey, we're going live at 7. So,
well, you know how you are. I mean, you take vacation like from January the 2nd until September. But I was like, I don't want Dauber to ever feel like he's not welcome here. So, hey, man, courtesy. You want to come on, hang out? Dauber's like, yeah, I'll jump on.
You've been called into work, brother.
Yes,
Yep.
It's time to go to work. Let me catch up on some super chats. Jason for 20. Pretty sure he hates me and Coach Jay. He makes fun of us and talks about the basement boys, but he still drops very generous super chats. So I will allow it. We'll play the clip for Jason.
Rocky Top!
Jason says, still waiting on the New York City tour date from y'all. Appreciate your content. It's good to have you in the house, Jason. We have a strange relationship. You insult me, I insult you. You throw money at me, and I say thank you. So I appreciate you being here, Jason. I still don't know if he likes us or hates us at this point, but it's good to see you in the chat. Matt Zimmerman drops a 20 spot. That's an Orange Boy. We'll do it again.
Rocky Top!
Matt Zimmerman says, Dorfy, go big orange. Thank you, Matt. That is a generous. You're paying for others to come in through the door, so I appreciate that. Culberson for 8. What are your number 1 picks on the new coach position? I second Coach Jay for linebackers and Coach Rice for running backs. GBO, #cultivate. Well, if that happens, I'm going to be hurting. I'm going to be looking to hire somebody if that's what happens. Stick around, Culberson. We're going to get to the coaches on the back half of the show. I didn't know how to start this thing. I didn't know which direction to go first, but we're going to get into that. Evan counts for 5. Are NCAA football teams required to play spring games? No, I mean, it's just a scrimmage, right? You're going to do, what is it? They usually do 2 scrimmages, and one of those is the spring game, and they use it to sell tickets, create hype, generate a little buzz. And it used to be like a lot of fanfare, a lot of autographs. I don't know that they really do that anymore. But they're not required. It's just a scrimmage. That's it. Like that's why, Coach Jay talking about it being behind closed doors, because that's what a coach would like. I would like to be able to go out and truly scrimmage versus going out and being very vanilla and not really having a scrimmage. That's why you could probably take more from the notes that come out of the first scrimmage than you really could the spring game. Brain for 5 says, I went to last year's orange and white game and was so disappointed I may not go to another. We couldn't get any food or drink, so we left early. My friend Vols, that's just what I call him, is Vols. My wife thinks he has the best YouTube name of all time, and I'm
Pretty
like,
good.
but I can't read that without looking like an idiot. So, Coach J for linebackers coach.
That's right.
Is there an online petition? Can we start an online petition
Let's go.
for that? Dauber, what did you think about the limited seating, 10,000 people? And we can go ahead and bleed it into this. If you scroll on down, it's going to be on SEC Network Plus. And then, let's see, there will also be big screens in Lot 9 and at the amphitheater outside Gate 21 for fans to watch the spring game as well as ball baseball that evening against LSU. Of course, I've seen a lot of people saying, I'm driving 5 hours with my family. I'm not going to drive 5 hours to watch it on a big screen when I can watch it on the SEC Network at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit disappointing for the fans. You do think this is one of the opportunities for a lot of those people with kids that can't afford to take their entire family to an actual game. The opening scrimmage, that's I remember going to so many of these as a kid with my family. That's what it's about is exposing all your little young volunteer fans to the game, and they had the opportunity to get up close to the action, meet the players, meet some cheerleaders. That's, to me, that's what it's about. But as I get older, you look at the flip side of it. You are only allowed so many practices. You're only allowed, like you said, 2 scrimmages. And man, just the way college football shapes up, every bit of time that they're out on the field is accounted for and limited. You can't even have guys out there making contact with players unless they're an actual coach. And this, I mean, there are so many restrictions. People don't actually realize that. So it is, you talk about spring camp and fall camp. That's where they're instilling, their scheme, their offensive kind of game plans, and kind of getting all that, ironed out. And like Coach Jay said, coaches don't want to, just pile it out, everything on the table for everybody to see. And they're really trying to get dialed in. I think fall is probably more important than the spring. But it's still one of those things. You look back to when Butch Jones was there, and it wasn't even a scrimmage. They played freaking games, and he was running around with a microphone, leading a 3-ring circus, and the point system was wacky and goofy. I think with Heupel, it actually is legit practice, and they're working on stuff. But it's one of those things. You gotta. Lesser of 2 evils. You want to keep the fans happy. You want to expose as many people to the team, and it's an opportunity for these guys to on the team to have kind of their first interaction. You talk about the young guys on the team. That's their first time stepping into Neyland with fans. So that's a big thing too. But man, it's tough, but the stadium does need renovations, man. And Danny White, I can't fault very, very, very little that he's done at the helm. And you look at the momentum that the university has, that this athletic program has. I made a comment the other day. I can't remember if I texted it to you or not. To have leadership in place that is, everybody's in the boat rowing the same direction. That's what we've lacked for so long. That's why we went through the spell of time between Fulmer and Heupel, because we had all these different people wanting to do all these different things, and nobody had the best interest of the university, the student athletes, that wasn't at the forefront. And you look at Danny White and Dondi Plowman right now going to bat for this university, for the student athletes. It makes me happy to be a fan of this program.
Let me hit a couple of super chats real quick, and then I'm going to throw it to Dustin real quick. Papa J for 10 says, just don't let JP be the merchandise coach. He would lose so much money with giveaways. F-U-G-A. I love that Papa J always throws in a F-U-G-A. Hey, look, JP was invited tonight. JP, I was talking to my wife, fixing supper, and I was like, I think JP may be done with Talkin VAWLS. I don't think there's anybody that I've invited to the show more that just says no over and over and over. But JP is a people pleaser. He doesn't want to let me down. It wouldn't be letting me down. I get it. He's busy. He's got a lot going on. I just love JP, and I love when he comes on and he rants and raves. But he does give away a lot of free merchandise. Evan Counts for 10 says people may be upset about the 10K, but we will still hit a grand slam with Daddy Danny as AD, so don't be trashing him on social media, y'all. We don't want to push Danny away. That leads me to this tweet that came out. Danny White, somebody said, personally, I think Danny White and the team need to create a big atmosphere outside the stadium. He says, we're on it. Pre- and post-game concerts in Lot 9. Big screens to watch the spring game as well as the baseball game later that evening. The Diamond Vols will be taking on LSU. He says, wish we could host more in Neyland, but unfortunately, this is the cost of progress. That's what, Dauber just said. Still plenty of opportunity for tailgating, music, football, baseball, and Big Orange Fellowship. Looking forward to a fun day on Rocky Top. Dustin, what are your thoughts on all this going on with the spring game?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. This time next year, we won't be talking about this. You know what I mean? Next spring game next year, hopefully everything's fully renovated and ready to rock. And it's pretty cool to see, three major renovations going on the three major sports. So long time coming, like Dauber said. And with all the different coaching changes in football that we've had, you never know what to expect with the spring game anyways. I don't know if y'all remember field day in grade school or high school, but it's just just get out there and do whatever sometimes. We knew what to expect with the former era, and we kind of got used to that. But then once the coaching carousel, hit us, then it was just well, are they going to play? Are they going to play too hard and get hurt? Or what are you going to actually know from any of the spring games? And I don't know how relevant any of that is really in today's game, but it'll be exciting to see, some glimpses, few as they may be, of the new up and coming classmen that either were, maybe left off hurt last year, didn't get a whole lot of time, and then all these new hot shots in the secondary and all those kind of things that were Brazel, players like that we're excited to see, and maybe somebody like Thornton can finally turn that corner and give us something to be excited about too. So I know we're going to talk about some individual players in general, but as a whole, it's not the most exciting thing to have, limited capacity, but it sounds like they're trying to do everything outside of the stadium. I breezed through that article earlier today too. It sounds like they're trying to do everything outside the stadium to make it cool still.
Yeah, that's for me. Announcement time. Like for me, when I saw limited capacity, I'm like, man, are we really gonna do a Talkin VAWLS tailgate and meet up when it's gonna be limited tickets? And I get it. You can stay home and watch it on the SEC network, and that's kind of what I was leaning to from a business perspective. I'm like, man, we could do a watch party on YouTube. We could do a post game show on YouTube, and it would be way more financially beneficial for me. But there's something to be said about building this community. So I think if you're going to set up big screens, you're going to have concerts, you're encouraging tailgating. Let's get the Talkin VAWLS family together. Let's gather together in G10. We wanted to do it last year. Everybody got sick. Dauber's entire family was sick. I was sick. BBD was sick. Everybody was sick, and we had to call it off at the last hour. Not this year. We're rolling in hot. We will be there. Talkin VAWLS, get together. Talkin VAWLS, meet and greet. We're gonna hang out at the orange and white game. So go ahead and book it. We're gonna be at G10. Coach Jay won't be there. I can't afford. You got free flights, bro.
I can fly for free.
Okay.
I'll check my schedule that time.
Here's the deal.
I'll check.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. This is my word to you, live on air. Not a whole lot of people watching, but 141 people are watching. I will pay for your hotel I will pay for your hotel
Watch out,
in my
watch
town.
out.
I'm gonna bring you to my town.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna bring
All
you to
right.
my town,
All right.
and then we'll drive down together. We will drive down together.
All
I will
right.
pay for the
All right.
hotel. You got free flights if you can make it work in your schedule. I will book the hotel room. I will take care of you. You know
I will
that.
check the spring practice schedule. Those spring practices. And real quick, because I I touched on it, but I want everyone to understand who can maybe get mad about a spring game not taking place or contact being limited, and why it's so much better to not have one, guys. So spring ball and preseason included, they only get 20 practices where contact is allowed. We always talk about how you get better at football, how you get better at tackling. It's by doing it. That's the only way, is contact, right? So you get you get 12 contact practice in the preseason. You get 8 in the spring, and of these practices, you're only allowed to have contact for 50% of the practices. Only 3 in each period, the scrimmages, are you allowed over 50% of the time to have contact. So in the spring, you're getting rid of pretty much one full scrimmage where you're allowed full contact, full speed to get these kids ready to go. So it is a monumental problem from a coaching standpoint. I mean, you have, less than a month to get ready to hit, to get ready to be laced up. And, when you're not doing it, you get things like the shoulder shrug against Florida, where the running back continues to run. And then we're all sitting here throwing things. But just be aware, if you're not hitting in practice daily, your knife's not sharpening, your knife's getting dull.
Mm-hmm.
Let me hit this super chat real quick. Seth the Nader is here. Says, "What up, everybody?" He says, "Everybody." I feel like when I read that, it's like me saying "shid" from Gerald Mincy. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Seth. We appreciate it. But just go ahead and book it. We will be in Knoxville for the orange and white game. I'm thinking we just stay for the baseball game too. We come down, we tailgate, we hang out, we watch the orange and white game on the big screens. I'm not going into the stadium. If everybody that's part of the Talkin VAWLS family can't get a ticket, I ain't going in. I'm gonna sit in the parking lot with you guys, and we'll watch it on the big screens, and then maybe hang out and watch the LSU baseball game as well. We'll make a day of it. Hopefully somebody will drive me there and back. We'll see what happens. But let's continue the conversation with spring, because that's this is the perfect kind of launching point. Then we're going to get into the coaching search, running back coach, linebacker coach, all that good stuff. But let's maybe let's just go. I don't know. Let's just go. What are you most excited about in spring camp, Dustin? What it could be a position group, it could be a coaching change, it could be whatever you can spin this however you want to spin it. And we'll get into specific players coming up in just a second. But what are you most excited about going into spring camp, going into year 4 of Josh Heupel?
Yeah, I think three position groups I think are kind of the obvious ones. There's kind of a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I think number 1 is probably the secondary, or what could be the secondary. There's so many unknowns with these hot shots coming in. I want to see how, and even in spring, we probably won't know exactly who's playing where, maybe what the finals say, but I like to see where the position groups kind of round out for all these guys in the secondary. And then, how does the receiver group kind of bounce back and, kind of get back to that elite level that we were kind of used to seeing the year before. And same thing, running backs, keeping that momentum going. There's just so many players across the board that, are exciting, and then of course, the one position group to watch out for is the offensive line. How does that shape up and survive another year with the puzzle pieces put in place?
Coach Shea, what are you most excited about? Other than
I kind of said the whole team, but
the obvious.
Yeah. Definitely excited about Nico. Excited about the offensive line. How will Lance Hurd fit into this equation? Who's going to settle into that open guard position? Do we need to go to the portal after spring, or is Carrick going to step up, or maybe even one of the young guys? Also, something to really keep an eye on this spring for me is looking into the future. How does Vice and Lang or whoever is going to replace Mays at the center position kind of come into their own? Because this is something that we needed to get done last year and didn't get done. We cannot afford to not develop that position another year. It will hurt us if we do that, even if we got to go to the portal. It will end up hurting us, and hopefully it doesn't end up hurting us early in the year with another injury to Mays. Also, of course, the cornerback position, I'll be watching really closely. It's a position that I think we finally might have solved. We all know I'm super high on Jermod McCoy. I'm super high on Ricky Gibson. If those guys can play to 70% of what I think they can be, we're going to be in a really, really strong position. And then, of course, which one of those freshmen and sophomores step up, right, and kind of take a step. We got 3 really good young linebackers opposite of Peely, with Herring, Jeremiah Thielander, and Arian Carter. Carter's going to get a little late start. I think he's sitting out most of spring or all of spring, if I'm not mistaken, just to make sure he's all good to go. But yeah, those are what I'll really kind of be keeping an eye on. And of course, as everyone always does, those freshmen, right? Who are those freshmen that are going to turn heads early? How good is Boo Carter going to come on? And how good are some of these young kids going to step into their own? There are, as always, multiple that we have bookmarked to see how they can do and how they can step in. Can you keep a Mike Matthews off the field as explosive as he's going to be in the slot position?
Yeah, I'm with you on the freshman, like especially Boo Carter. Like you mentioned the corners. Like I'm excited to watch the corners too, but I think we know. I think McCoy and Ricky Gibson are going to be the corners. I think we already know that. But it'll be fun to watch and see how good they can actually be. Athleticism is a word we've thrown around a lot since the bowl game, right? Athleticism in the secondary and in the overhaul. And Boo Carter, man, like he got a lot of buzz just getting a little bit of run in the bowl practices. And what does so you mentioned the corner position? I think it's Gibson and McCoy. What do the safety positions look like? What does that star position look like? Does the star position ultimately is it Jordan Thomas? Is it Boo Carter? Like, Coach Rice has been throwing Boo Carter at the star around forever, for a long time on this channel. Does Boo Carter play safety? Like, I think Andre Turrentine, gold jacket, green jacket, I think he's ultimately going to lock down a spot at safety. The secondary is going to be very intriguing to me to watch. Like, you look at the offensive side of the ball, I mean, it is what it is. Outside of the left guard position that you mentioned earlier, is Carrick the guy, or do you look to add somebody, or does somebody else step in there? There's a couple of things, and I'm gonna save this one when we get into individual players at the wide receiver position. But for the most part, we know what we've got on offense, and we know what we've got on the defensive line. We know what we've got at linebacker. It's that secondary that I want to see how that shakes out. Dauber, what about you? What are your eyeballs going to be on for spring camp?
Man,
it's right around the corner, boys. Like February sucks. We're a month away from spring camp. A month away.
You're lifting.
You've done it to me again. I have to go last. This was just like the charity feed.
I could not let you go before me because I wanted to have something to talk about.
So,
you're welcome.
Yeah. I think I'm excited to see the wide receiver room. Excited to see those guys. There's so much talent. And I think we've got a guy that's going to be able to sling the rock around to him. So I think this offense did take a step back last year. We weren't putting up obscene video game numbers like we had seen previously with, the accuracy of Hendon Hooker and being able to, spread the ball around. But I think you're going to see, just like you saw with Tillman and then Hyatt, you're going to see somebody just emerge and have a monster season. And it really, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if you see maybe 2 wide receivers, maybe a tight end, really just come out and do some special stuff this year. it is going to be interesting. One thing I'm going to watch is, especially with these coaching searches, you talk about the linebacker room and the running back room. Those are pretty integral parts of your offense and defense. You've got talent there. Who's going to head that up, and how is that going to impact the rooms moving forward? We've still got a portal season to go too, fellas.
Mm-hmm.
That's something else you can't sleep on. We may have some guys split, but like you said, Boogie, are we going to be adding to that offensive line? I think that is something. Coach Jay hit it earlier. We can't just hope things work out with the guys we got. You got injuries. It's a long season. It's a grueling season trying to run through the gauntlet of SEC play. So it's good to get guys with experience, and it's good to have guys that there's not a step down when they go out. That's what we've seen for the last couple of years with teams like Alabama and Georgia. The drop off between first team and second team is non-existent. It's plug and play, and hopefully, we are taking those steps to where we don't see the drop off when we go and sub guys in, or somebody has next man up has to step up. So that's what I'm looking forward going into spring ball. It's exciting, man. Like I said in the opening, there's so much buzz around this program, around the things that are happening. It'll be interesting to see where these coaching searches go as well.
Dauber just sent me down a rabbit hole when he said Alabama. Coach Jay, did you see that Terrion Grant got an offer from Alabama this week?
I did. Yeah.
Interesting. And people immediately devalue it. Oh, it's not a Nick Saban offer. It's like, oh, come on, bro. Go watch our film breakdown on Terrion Grant. Dude, if you're not watching the film breakdown series, what are you doing with your life? It is the premier content on the Talkin VAWLS network. Go check out that playlist. Go check out what Coach Jay's doing over there. It's so much fun, man. Maybe because I'm just a nerd and I enjoy it and I enjoy being educated. Go check it out. We have a lot of fun on that series, so go check out what we're doing over there with the film breakdown. Let me catch up with you guys. Adrian Wells been a member for 10 months. Shout out, Adrian. We appreciate that support. Culberson been a member for 23 months. Says, who will make a bigger impact in year one, Boo Carter or Mike Matthews? Dustin, go.
Well, given that we've heard some good buzz about Boo, I'm going to go Boo right off the bat. I think Matthews is wherever they decide to plug him in. I think he's going to be impactful too. But just based on what we heard, I'll have to lean Boo for the moment.
Dauber?
Man, that's tough because you're talking different sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think they both can have big impacts. Just based off of their athleticism and their ceiling coming in. I think it may be harder for Boo to kind of break in early. I think Matthews has an opportunity if he's the stud that he appears to be. He could come in and make some noise. That wide receiver room is stout though, but like I said, I think you've got a guy that's going to be able to spread that ball around. I saw somebody talking about will we see more than the 2 or 3 kind of wide receivers, or are you going to see Heupel run maybe 4 or 5 guys? I don't know that you will. He typically doesn't.
I don't see it.
But
it's year 4, Dauber. We've not seen it.
I know, but has it been this stacked though?
Last year, I think they kind of got their hand forced because Brew got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Dante Thornton got hurt. So I got to see it to believe it, because I sat here and listened to Alex Golish tell us all right to our faces, we're gonna rotate 6-7 guys this year, and you played 3. So
Right.
I got to see it to believe it at this point.
Yeah, and you've got, you've got, a couple of what's his name, Stays coming in on the tight end position too. So you got to take that in consideration. I forget the other guy's name off the top of my head, but and then Davis. How does Davis factor into that? I think all of us would agree we'd like to see a little bit more creativity to involve the tight ends, but they're always going to be out there. So the more athletic, the more speed and blocking potential. I think blocking number one is going to be the reason that they get on the field, followed by the play calling, and I think that ought to be an exciting position group to watch as well, and hopefully keep that ball rolling in that regard.
That's interesting to me because I think Ethan Davis is a better pass catcher and Holden Stace is a better blocker. So it's and I may be way off base there. That's just what I believe. So it'll be interesting to see how they work those guys in. Coach Jay, we've cut you off 2 or 3 times. You want to take this Boo Carter, Mike Matthews question?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think both of them are going to find their way in the 2 deep this year. I really do believe that. I think Boo will find his way in the 2 deep at the star, and I think Mike will find his way in the 2 deep in the slot. Of course, there's going to be some questions that kind of answer that, as how quick are they digesting the new speed of the game from each of their position, how well is Mike blocking, and how well is Boo. The star, a lot of people forget, the star is really the captain of this defense, even above the Mike in Tim Banks' defense. So that star has to be sharp, really football smart. I think Boo can do it though. I think it's going to come down to a simple question though, is who wins this argument. I think it's going to come down to who takes D. Williams' job away from, that D. Williams position. Whichever one of them can take that job is who I think is going to win that. I tend to think Boo takes that job.
I was going to say, do you want to go ahead and tell us why it's Boo Carter? That's who's taking that job.
He's because Mike's fast. Mike's really fast, right? He's got a lot of top end speed. And Boo's really fast too, but there's a difference between them. Boo is fast and quick, right? And that's like a unicorn thing to look for, right? Like Reggie White was maybe one of the last players I can think of that was really elite at being fast and quick out there. You know what? I take that back. We had a running back under Butch Jones that was not utilized, named Alvin Kamara, that was both fast and quick. But when you and then he's got the triple threat on top of it. He's got some wiggle too, a lot of wiggle in him. So for those reasons, I think Boo will kind of win that contest. But I think both of them can carve out a role on this team. And don't be surprised if Mike Matthews even could end up in a starting role by the end of the season with his play, especially if he can figure out that blocking element. We'll see. We'll see.
I'm rolling with Boo Carter for the return factor. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, I'll just say, and I'm pretty sure that Matthews is 95% going to be a receiver, right? There's no discrepancy of him being on the other side.
No.
Okay.
Let me hit a super chat here from Rocky Top. Tom for 5 says excited for the entire team in 2024. Upgrade on D, returning production on O, and Mike freaking Matthews. Coach learned from last year. What's not to love? Man, I'm excited. Don't sleep on Braylon Staley. Everybody's excited about Mike Matthews. We got a stud in Braylon Staley as well. Like that, don't question Kelsey Pope's ability to recruit wide receivers. We got a couple of studs coming in, and the class of 25 has the potential to be even better. Like there are some legitimate. I would not be surprised if they signed 2 5-stars at the wide receiver position in 2025. Would not shock me at all. We're going to talk about a couple of players on both sides of the ball that we're excited about. Everybody's going to get a chance to go. We're 45 minutes in, boys, and we've not even touched on the coaching search. We're going to get into that as well, but we've got less than 200 people watching. Feels like a Tuesday night. Feels like an NCAA stream. Nobody wants to talk about football in February. What's wrong with you guys? Do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up. Share out the link. Hit the share button. If we can double our viewership, if we get to 400 viewers before the end of the stream, I'll give away. Coach Jay, pick a number between 1 and 4.
4.
What a dickhead. God bless America. There are people that I go to church with watching, and you just made me spit out profanity. If we can get this live stream to 400 people watching live, I will give away all of the money that we made tonight. I'll give away four free T-shirts. You heard it here. So hit the share button. Go to Twitter. Retweet it. Blast it out. Let people know we're live. We get 400 live viewers. I doubt it. Not going to happen. I'll give away 4 shirts. Four shirts. I will lose money to work tonight. You understand what Coach J? He's the new JP.
That's coming out of your hotel.
Yeah, out of my hotel.
Yeah. No longer got a free hotel.
The Momo now. Yeah.
But if you want to buy a shirt, you can go to bonfire.com/store/talkingballs. We rolled out these Chosen Ones shirts, and shortly after, Ball Shop did the same. Interesting. Are they watching the Talking Balls Network? We've also got Cultivate shirts. You guys, you want Cult of Jake shirts? Maybe. You guys are asking for it. Talking Balls letters, theme shirts, all of it's there. bonfire.com/store/talkingballs. If you've got a shirt, put it on, take a picture, and tweet at Boogie Bentley. I want to see it. I will retweet it. I will share it. I want to see you guys repping our merchandise. But if you want to pick it up, bonfire.com/store/talkingballs. That link is in the description down below. Also, if you're not a member of the channel, if you don't have a Power T beside your name in the chat, fix it right now. Hit the join button down below. There's also a link in the live chat, pinned to the top of the live chat. You guys can hit that link and support the channel, man. We need you guys during the off season, so support us for $1. That's all we're asking. Nelson wants a Khalifa Keith shirt. Of course he does. All right, let's talk about a player on offense, a player on defense that your eyes are on. Guess who's going to go first, Auburn? Not you, it's me. I'm going first because of this right here. Speaking of Nelson, who insults me 95% of the time, but he also gives me good information. This is from the McElroy and Kubelik show. I love Kubelik, man. I think he is really good at what he does. What should Vol football expect from transfer wide receiver Chris Brazzell? We let you know in the Mac and Cubes transfer portal player of the day. This is my guy that I'm watching this spring. You guys get ready. You're gonna have an opportunity to give who you're watching on offense, but let somebody else do our work for us. Let's hear what Cade Kubelik had to say about Chris Brazzell.
Tulane wide receiver Chris Brazzell. 6'5", 195 pounds.
Green jacket.
He's going to be transferring to Tennessee. I think any wide receiver would want to be involved in that offense with the opportunities that you're going to be given and provided. 44 catches, 711 yards last year, 5 receiving touchdowns. G-Mac took a look at him yesterday and quite honestly was blown away with what I saw. To see that he was 6'5", first off, he doesn't look it on film. I mean, he looks long, but a lot of times you get the bigger wide receivers. They don't move laterally very well. They're not really smooth in and out of their breaks. They look a little bit stiff, kind of like an undersized tight end. Brazzell doesn't look like that at all. He's extremely smooth, very loose, very athletic. He looked like he run crisp routes. Game against South Alabama, a little whip route where he loses the DB and gets open. So I think Tennessee may have hit a home run here with Chris Brazzell, the wide receiver from Tulane, just with the size and athletic ability that he's going to bring into that offense.
I'm keeping an eye on him, and I'm going to go 1A, 1B. Also, Dante Thornton. I think iron sharpens iron. I think we got a couple of really good wide receivers on the outside. I think we're really going to see who Dante Thornton is when he has an opportunity to say, hey, I'm an outside guy. I don't have to figure out the slot. Put me on the outside. Let me feel comfortable. I think we got a good competent. We know we got Brew. Brew's trying to get back. I posted that in a video recently, him on the treadmill. I think he's going to be ready to go by the time we get to the fall. But Squirrel's going to lock down that slot. Is he going to get pushed by Braylon Staley? I hope so. I hope Braylon Staley pushes Squirrel White. But those are the guys that I am watching. Coach Jay, what about you? On the offensive side of the ball, who are you keeping your eye on? And if you guys want to say, Nico, you want to take the easy road, you can. I like the wild cards. Who you really going to be watching in spring camp?
Yeah, of course, Nico. But Cam, I want to watch Cam. I'm looking for 2 things without a Cam Selden.
Can you lean in a little there, Coach Jay? Hey, Boogie, do you have any Talking Balls hats? Bonfire.com/store/talkingballs. Go ahead, Coach Jay.
Okay, yeah, but I'll be looking out for two things with Cam Seldon. A, how's his blocking coming along? How's his pass protection coming along is thing number one. Thing number two is I think Cam Seldon's going to offer something a little bit different that this offense hasn't had in some time. Or that a Heupel offense hasn't had. Let me just stretch that a little further. He can break out. He can play in the slot as well. So we talked about how the tight end's really important, how they have to be able to block in this offense because we like to spread the tight end out wide and bring him in tight. And if the defense changes their personnel to heavy to deal with that tight end in tight, then we can spread him out and pass. Well, if you can add an additional receiver to that in a Cam Seldon, not only that, a big, fast receiver, a 6'2", 230-pound wide receiver that can scoot. And now all of a sudden you can contract heavy and expand heavy. That's going to be extremely dangerous and extremely valuable to Coach Heupel into changing the schemes up, to changing numbers. It's going to keep teams from just playing cover three and playing, safeties back the whole time. Teams were allowed to get away with that this past season for a couple reasons. One of them was that tight end play and not being able to be as heavy in the box with the tight ends we had. And the second reason that we were able to do that so well was accuracy over the middle and accuracy in the flats from Joe Milton and reads in those zones by Joe Milton. I assure you this season, if teams think they're going to just drop three safeties back, it's going to be a long day. We're going to march down the field every single time and score 90% of the time.
Dauber, I'm going to let you go next because you always whine and complain when I make you go last. So give me a player on offense you're going to keep your eyes on this spring camp.
I'm gonna go with tight end position and see who kind of wins the starting nod with that with Stays or Ethan Davis. I think Coach Jay kind of hit on the tight end play with his pick with Seldon, but I really think and looking back at Heupel's history. He utilizes the tight end quite a bit, and we've not really been able to do that a lot. So that is something. Be it blocking to set up, some other stuff or actual pass catching and just there were a couple. We ran a couple seam routes. In the bowl game, didn't we?
A couple,
yeah.
So that's I think that is something that we're going to be able to do a lot more this year, and if one of these guys can step up and be that pass catcher, come in and take over and have that as a position that we can utilize and take advantage of some mismatches across the defense.
Yeah, I agree with you. And to finish up your thought, something that I think has a lot of potential in the tight ends group is the way they used Princeton Fant a couple of years ago. Yeah. That was so creative. It seemed like every time they used him in some crazy package, it worked. Double pass, or when they put him in as a running back, or just a little slot out to kind of thing to sneak out behind the defense. So I like to see a little bit more of that, just as far as scheme and play calling go. So I totally agree with you. I'm kind of going boring and old school because I think it's important. I think Brew's return is going to be huge. Not only from a productivity standpoint, but just his leadership in that room. I think if you're working drills with him one-on-one every day and you get separation from him, then that's one of the biggest things that we didn't have this past year was separation at times. And I think his leadership and experience is going to help develop some of these young hotshots, Matthews and Stays and all that. And then my other one, if I can pick two, was Samson. I want to see Samson continue to be hungry and stay healthy and he wanted the reins for so long, and he's finally got them, and he looked good the bowl game. So I want to see him continue to take those strides to really, especially with the change in coaching change in his position. Can he be a leader in that room as well, and kind of lead the young guys along the way?
Let me the super chat real quick. MG Way for 5. Coach Jay, go ahead and throw your name in for linebacker coach. Need you and Mrs. Coach Jay on Rocky Top.
Amen.
Yes.
Maybe she could be.
Amen.
Maybe Mrs.
On.
Coach Jay could be a recruiting coordinator.
Yeah,
There you go.
walk
I'll
on
see you guys
linebackers
both a
coach.
job.
Well,
There you go.
analyst position.
Oh,
Work my
yeah.
way in.
Yeah.
Work my way in.
Hey, how did your season ended up? It's been a minute. How did your season finish up?
Oh no.
It was
Okay, next question. Sorry.
no. We had a great year. We only lost, well, if you include the playoff game, 2 games. We lost 1 game during the regular season, but we got bounced early, a little complacent, but good talent coming back. I was mentioning kind of in the chat the other day. I had a kid get his 3rd star recently, and some pretty solid offers throughout the Pac-12, or old Pac-12, I should say now, Big Ten
Back to
slash Big 12 now. Gosh, that's going to be hard to shake off when you see those schools' names. But excited about the season for sure. So yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah, Coach Rice got the glory this past year though, so
I wasn't gonna say
I'm
it.
excited for him.
I
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
gonna
I
say
got
it.
I got you, Coach Rice. I got you.
Coach
I
Rice
got
won a
you. You
state
got that
championship.
ship.
He
You
won
got
that
that
state
ship.
championship for Tennessee, so that was awesome. That
Yeah.
was awesome. But it's cool, man. Like I love hearing, like watching Coach Jay swell up with pride, talking about one of his kids getting that 3rd star and getting offers, because it drives me insane when people talk about, oh, 3-star you. They don't respect a 3-star. Were you a 3-star? Did you ever have an opportunity to play college football? Did you get D1 offers? Like it's these kids work their tails off, man, and when they get opportunities, just for people to insult
That
them
ki-
and say, "Oh, 3-star."
That kid is a 6'5", 248-pound, 4'4", oh, 4'4", like 4'5", 4'4". I mean, he's had a couple unofficial 4'4s, like straight up official. I think like a little above 4'5" was his best official, but for that size, that's crazy speed. That's crazy speed. So it just goes to show you how hard it can be sometimes to to get those stars. And sometimes stars too, a lot of things other people don't realize is sometimes offers beget stars. So it's like, if a big
Yep.
program offers a 2-star kid, that same 2-star kid oftentimes can turn into a 4-star kid, almost within weeks. So just something to bear in mind for everyone. Stars mean a lot, but they aren't the end all be all either.
Yeah.
Let's flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. Then I promise you, we're gonna jump into the coaching searches on the back end of the show. We're gonna talk about who are the top guys to replace Jerry Mack, who are the top guys to replace Brian Jean-Marie. But I want to flip over to defense. We're gonna let Dustin go first since he went last. Are we gonna? Does that mean I have to go last? Are we just gonna go in reverse order? We'll go Dustin, Dauber, Coach Jay, and then I'll go last. So Dustin, who you keeping an eye on that defensive side of the ball for spring camp?
There's obviously a few, but I mean, I think the exciting position is probably the defensive line. Sorry,
I'm screwed. I'm so screwed.
Yeah,
I'm so screwed.
Herring and Eason and all those guys. I want to see some of those guys continue to grow and take the next step. How does Hobbs factor into things in this new year? And the fact that Coach Garner stayed around, that should be a motivating kick in the ass for these guys. And like Boogie's mentioned on every defensive conversation on this show, like they continue to get better every year, and as a unit, it's not been pretty at times. There's still a lot of work to do, but the stacking of the classes is starting to trickle through, I think, and getting used to the scheme and the personnel. But I think there's been significant growth from what we saw in that first year for sure. I'll keep it short and pass it down to Dauber.
All right, I'm gonna stay on the defensive line.
Yeah, I'm screwed.
Sorry.
Big O.
Yep.
Amari Thomas, and I'm gonna throw Elijah Simmons in there. That's two dudes that we've seen potential from. I want to see them be able to have that level, and maintain, be consistent, and that's that right there. You just threw up on the screen.
Money year.
It's their money year.
Yes.
They're going out. They need to show out if they're wanting to grab that bag and make a big splash come draft time. So we talk about Coach Garner and him putting guys in the league. That's a master right there. These guys need to take it to that next level. Like I said, I want to see them not just shine out for a game or two or a couple plays here and there consistently. You get those guys wreaking havoc in the middle. The edge, man, it's going to be electric. I think Coach Jay hit on linebackers earlier. I think opposite Peely, there's some really, really talented young guys. This defense, it is set up and has the look on paper to be ridiculous. And you talk about going back to an offense putting up, absurd numbers and guys showing out. Man, it's set up, and we've not even really talked about the schedule. The schedule is very favorable in 2024 for Tennessee. So there's a lot of things that just shape up right. And you got guys like Omari Thomas and Elijah Simmons that are, it is a big year for them professionally moving forward in their life. So that's some motivation right there. And they've got a great teacher in Rodney Gardner. It's set there. They just have to walk through the door and take it. So,
I mean, look what Coach G like what Coach G did with Matthew Butler in 1 year. Like if you buy in and you focus, you put your head down and go to work, the sky's the limit. Go ahead, Coach Jay. Who you watching on defense?
I mean, a lot of people, right? I think number one though is that premier corner spot that's going to be over that X wide receiver. It's going to be Ricky Gibson. Number one, probably followed closely behind Arian Carter. I think Arian is going to come on strong when he comes back. The light was starting to come on right about when he got hurt. It was kind of eerily similar to Thornton at wide receiver. He, I think, put on a little too much muscle. And you can be guilty of that sometimes when you've been in high school and you're really fast and you've kind of been in a subpar weight room and all of a sudden you walk into a real strength and conditioning room and you realize, maybe I'm really dang strong and I can put on a little too much muscle too easy and need to thin out a little bit. I think Tennessee's strength and conditioning class will dial that in a little bit for Marion. But even with that said, I think he was really starting to come on against the pass, showing up in the flats against the screen with his wall offs, with his man. And as we saw, it really hurt us last year with Herring looked lost a lot of times when teams would put him in conflict when they would run double crosses or an all slants pattern. Idaho concept, multiple different concepts would put him in a conflict. Arian wasn't having all those troubles, and he was a full year younger already than Herring. So I think he can put that together. We'll see if he can do it in a short off season because we won't get him in the spring.
Do you think? Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Do you think that just based on athleticism that that Carter is quicker side to side than Herring was. We saw him get beat countless times.
Let me lead Coach
Okay.
Shea. Let me see if I've learned anything during the film breakdown. Is he quicker side to side? Maybe not. Does he have a higher football IQ that doesn't cause that misstep? The misstep is what put Elijah Herring in conflict, right? It was one step in the wrong direction, and then he looked slow. I don't know that he's necessarily slow. It's that he took that misstep, and then that's what created the conflict. Coach Shea, tell me I've learned something.
Yeah, you've learned something. It has put him in conflict. It put him out of position. It had him creating extra steps. Your number one enemy as a linebacker is wasted steps. That's why your read step out of the gate is so important, imperative. And the number one thing you can't do as a linebacker is not trust yourself. Right? It's I would rather my linebackers be wrong and go than start to go and go, oh crap, I'm wrong. Let me try to make up. It's like, no, make your read, make your decision, trust your read, trust your decision, go quickly. So actual speed, I think Arian's faster in the first 7 yards, which to me is important. We'll see once he slenders down a little bit, and I expect to see that out of him. We'll find out though, right? We'll find out what he looks like when we get a gander at him again. Once again, I believe he's being held out in the spring, but he's going through like all the weightlifting and all the running. They're just being a little bit cautious with him, which you really only do when you kind of know what you have, right? As a young player.
I'm going to be short and sweet with mine because you guys have already nailed it all. But, Dauber mentioned some of those interior defensive linemen, Omari Thomas, Bryson Eason. Omar Norman Lott's a guy that we should be keeping an eye on this fall. But I'm going to go with the young David Hobbs because it's time for these Omari Thomas and these guys to take a step. Like, it's a money year, right? We're talking about a money year for these guys. Guess who's going to push them in a money year? That's a young David Hobbs, a guy that was a 5-star recruit according to On3. He was a top 50 player in the On3 industry rankings. Big time recruit, big time get. I think he's going to push some fellas. I'll put a little honorable notice on Tyree West because I think he really started to show out in the bowl game, and I think he's gonna push. And look, we know Rodney Garner's gonna play a lot of dudes. That's what he does. So we're gonna see a healthy dose of all of those defensive linemen. But there's a lot to be excited about. Dylan for 5 says, want to see what Edwin Spillman looks like out there with T-Lander, body bags, left and right. That leads us into the next bit of the show. Let's talk about replacing linebacker coach Brian Jean-Marie. Let's talk about who he is, what he did. Coach Jay's been saying on every film breakdown, every recruiting video, every recruiting live stream, we're rebuilding this linebacker room. And if you go back, you rewind time and you go back to when Josh Heupel took over, and all these guys that were on the way out the door, right? Henry To'oTo'o, Quavarius Crouch, Aaron Willis, Martavius French, all these guys leaving. We had a long snapper taking reps at linebacker. That's how depleted that linebacker room was. You got to praise what Jeremy Banks did, man. What Jeremy Banks did under Brian Jean-Marie, a freaking running back that converted to linebacker. You got to look at Aaron Beasley, the development that he had. And yeah, I don't think we got the senior year we wanted out of him. But as Coach Jay pointed out on many post-game shows, many Friday morning shows, Aaron Beasley was being asked to do a lot of different things. He was moved out of position to try to benefit the team. You signed guys like Elijah Herring, Arian Carter, Jeremiah T-Lander. You added Keenan Peely via the portal. Coach Jay, what do you think about Brian Jean-Marie as a coach on the way out the door? Like, we don't have to hate on the guy because he's following the money. I got no problem with a guy that's chasing the money.
Yeah, no, there's the name of the game when you're working is to get paid, right? So get that paycheck. It's a hard job to be hitting the ground recruiting all the time. It's countless hours away from your family, not to mention when you are actually coaching, you never see them either. So these guys, for all intents and purposes are working, hellacious hours by anyone's standards. And he was a good coach. He was a great recruiter, a good teacher of the game. And like you look at the picture on the screen, right? You gotta love a linebacker coach that when they're like smile for the picture, they kind of still look like they're snarling, and they really gotta force the smile. That's what you want out of a linebackers coach as well. Um, if I was poking holes in them, and this is really shooting from the hip, guys, because I'm not on the field with Coach Marie all the time. It would be his linebackers in pass defense in certain schemes seem to falter quite a bit. So, when a door closes, another opens, and hopefully we can get a teacher in there that can fix that part of our game for us, because Coach Marie definitely left us with a great gift of talent here at the University of Tennessee. Our linebacker room is deep and only getting deeper with people like Edwin Spillman coming in. So we got the talent. Let's see if we can get someone in that can finish the job for Coach Marie.
Well, let's go that direction. But first, I want to mention a quote. I complimented the guy. Now let's bury him. Brian Jean-Marie said, I think the University of Michigan crowd, which is a good crowd, I'm not going to say it is a bad crowd. It's more of a tennis crowd. This is Brian Jean-Marie. He said, we have more of a gladiator stadium crowd at the University of Tennessee. So, Coach Jean-Marie, enjoy going back to a tennis crowd. We are going to carry on. We are going to continue doing what we do in the Southeast at the University of Tennessee. We're going to be a gladiator crowd. Dauber, where do you think we go with this thing? Because there's a lot of layers to this one. Like, Jerry Mack, and we'll talk about that here in just a second, but for Brian Jean-Marie at the linebacker position, Tim Banks, as the defensive coordinator, he's coached every position imaginable. Defensive backs, running backs, outside linebackers, inside linebackers. And this is something I mentioned in my video today that nobody watched, so hopefully some people are watching this. Does Tim Banks shuffle? Right now he coaches the safeties. Willie Martinez coaches the corners. Could Tim Banks maybe slide down and coach linebackers? I've seen a lot of people saying, hey, why not get Coach Eckler, who already coaches the edge guys, let him coach the inside linebackers? Do you think maybe they shuffle the defensive staff? It's good. Like, I don't think anybody really knows where Tim Banks, Josh Heupel are going to go with this hire. What would you do if you were in charge?
I mean, it's possible. You don't want to upset the chemistry that you've had with the continuity that you've had. Now that continuity's gone, do you bring somebody in that doesn't mesh, that doesn't get, or do you try to find somebody that maybe has past relationships, has crossed over, has worked with some of the other coaches before? One of the names I'd seen earlier, Jancic. Jancic's got that history. He's worked with Willie Martinez. He's worked with has he worked with Banks? I think he crossed over with Banks as well. So he's also got that history at Tennessee. Or do you shuffle around? It's hard to tell. The thing about this coaching carousel, guys just seem to get regurgitated, chewed up, and rotated around, and it seems to be, especially serial position coaches. If they
hold that thought. Wait for it. He's going to calculate this. He's still thinking about it. He's not 100% sure where he wants to go.
My only problem with Janik, though, he's smiling way too much.
Oh, too much?
Too much. Like, look at that. That linebacker coach shouldn't smile.
What do you think of John Jancic, Dustin? He was Tennessee's defensive coordinator, obviously, 2013 to 2015. A lot of relationships, right? Like, he did a good job at Tennessee. 2015, this was from a A to Z Sports article, led Tennessee to one of their best defenses in the last 15 years. Shout out Zach Reagan for the research. But he's also coached, Heupel was close to bringing in John Jancic when he took over the job, and the timing didn't work out. He's coached with Tim Banks before. He's coached with Willie Martinez before. He's coached with Rodney Garner before. What would you think if they brought John Jancic back to coach linebackers? I mean, the dude has coached everywhere. He's coached at Georgia, LSU, Colorado, Kentucky, South Florida, Cincinnati, Georgia, Tennessee. He's been everywhere, man. He's got the relationships. Would you be excited or not as flattering?
I mean, I can't say that I kept up with him super recently, but obviously it is nice to have the connection to Tennessee. I don't know how appealing that would be to him. I guess it kind of comes down to money and how it works out contract wise. But I think just in general, it's going to be interesting to see, is this finally the opportunity for Heupel / Banks to reach outside the honeypot? Is the grass greener on the other side? Do we know that? That's coaching these days. It's transfer portal. It's so many. It's NIL. It's coaching changes. All these things. All these factors. But you got to kind of put faith in these guys that's what they're getting paid. That's what they eat, sleep, and breathe. I would like to think that if there is some shuffling going on, that the position changes and stuff like that you talked about, I think makes a lot of sense. That's kind of what Heupel's been known to do up at this point. But for linebackers in general, you also have to think, man, it's a big country out there, and there's a lot of good defenses that, especially with the semi-success we've had in the last couple of years, you got to think that there's some extra appeal to come to Tennessee.
We're gonna blitz through this. So, Coach Jay, I want you to take your top. You gave me a couple of names today. Give me your top guy, and let's get into it. And you tell me why.
Yeah, my top guy would be Tony Gilbert. That'd be kind of my number one go-to. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and pull him up there, you guys probably most recently known him as the linebacker coach at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Which is one of the reasons I really like him. I mean, it's just kind of like icing on the cake, right? Like, what does every high school kid want to know?
Mm-hmm.
How can I get to the league?
To pros, yeah.
Right? Can I go to the NFL? This is a coach that is going to identify with those youngsters and understand. He's going to know where they've been. And guess what? He also understands the Southeastern Conference. He fully understands the Southeastern Conference. He played at Georgia. He had a stint at Auburn. Had a stint at UNC, not in the SEC, but I guess semi-close at North Carolina, and spent some time at Central Florida as well. Their time didn't overlap with Heupel's time there, but a very similar defensive system from a linebacker standpoint was ran back when he was there. A really, really good teacher of the game, an amazing person. He's just been there, done that. He's going to be able to recruit at a high level, period, and would be number one on my list if I were picking.
I want to see what you guys think about this promoting from within, and it doesn't always work out. And Coach Chop is a guy that we were talking about him when Jerry Mack said he was going to the NFL. But then they moved Coach Chop to coach running backs, and that's something I want to throw at Coach Jay here in just a second. But Coach Chop is a guy, he coaches the defensive line, and it would be interesting, man. Can he coach linebackers? It's like, oh no, he's a defensive line coach, Boogie. Well, he played offensive line, Division II football, offensive lineman, won a national championship. He worked in the NFL as a scouting assistant. He was, one of the biggest things, Tuskegee University. He was the defensive line coach, special teams coordinator, but also the recruiting coordinator from 2006 to 2012. And recruiting is where a lot of people talk about Coach Chop. Austin Price, Matt Ray, they praise him on the regular. So, Coach, I want to ask you a question. Coach Chop coaches defensive linemen. How hard is it for him? A guy that played offensive lineman in college, he coaches defensive lineman now. You played linebacker in high school. You coach linebacker now. Your goals, I think, I don't know what your goals are, but I know you've talked about it a lot on this channel to be a defensive coordinator. That would be a goal I would think for you. So as a defensive coordinator, you got to be able to coach D-line, linebackers, secondary. How hard would it be for Coach Chop, a guy that's played offensive lineman, coached defensive lineman, to step up and coach linebackers? Like, is that a realistic possibility when you've got those recruiting chops? See what I did there, Coach Chop, recruiting chops. Go ahead.
It's definitely within the realm of possibility. With our triangle of reads as a linebacker, the number one thing you need to know is offense and defensive line positioning. So to be able to understand that at a uniquely high level puts you in a unique spot to succeed as a coach, coaching linebackers. The other piece of that puzzle is the more difficult part, the pass protection part, the part I want to get better at. Can he do that? Sure. What his ability to do that is, not positive, can't speak on it, right? But someone that's been around this game as long as he has, that's been analyzing the game as long as he has, I'd venture to say he's got a pretty good grasp of it and that he'd be just fine. Just doesn't quite have that. He's been there, done that kind of element to it, as you were kind of mentioning with his previous positions. But he would have insight that would help the players succeed at that position.
Kenny Davis says when it comes to Coach Heupel, promotion from within seems to be his style. I thought so too until this came out, and that's what we're going to wrap up the show with, is Jerry Mack off to the NFL. I thought for sure we're going to promote somebody from within. That's not the case. Volquest, Austin Price, Brent Hubbs, they've all pretty much said, no, they're going outside. They're not promoting from within here. I think on the defensive side, I think that's a possibility. Look, it's early. This just came out today, so there's not a whole lot of news or buzz about it. So we'll see where that goes. But, on the offensive side of the ball, they're going to go with somebody on the outside. I made a video on this and dropped a lot of information. Anthony Jones at TCU, Memphis native. He graduated from Westwood High School, got a lot of in-state ties. I like it. I like it. In 3 years at Memphis, he coached running backs at Memphis. He put 4 running backs into the NFL. That is elite. To put 4 running backs into the league in 3 years, that would be like Jerry Mack putting Jabari Small and Jalen Wright both into the NFL this year. That's how elite that is. Larry Porter at North Carolina, 28-year coaching veteran, 2-time national recruiter of the year. Kevin Smith at Ole Miss is also a name. Matt Merritt, who was at one time an offensive analyst under Josh Heupel, took the running back coach job at Miami. Carlos Lachlan, Oregon running backs coach. Derek Foster, L.A. Chargers running back coach. And then Tommy Robinson's a name that's popped up here recently at Colorado. That is in the mix as well. What are your thoughts, Dustin? You can go Brian Jean-Marie. You can talk about Jerry Mack. What are your thoughts about this coaching search? We got to replace 2 coaches. Is it a good let me throw this at you, Dustin. You told me you weren't really diving into all the names, so let me ask you this question. I've said for 2 weeks now, when Auburn was calling Rodney Garner, when the Jerry Mack rumor started, the Brian Jean-Marie rumor started, it's a good problem to have. We got good coaches because other people are trying to poach them. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, it goes back to the culture, and I think Heupel is a huge culture guy. I think both with his players, his staff, and everybody involved in this program. And I think we're seeing dividends that across the whole administration and top to bottom. I think it's hard to say which position coach is more crucial than the other because we've had such success in the running game, and I think we all know that the offense, as many people want to dupe it as a sling it all over the yard type offense, it's really comes based on the run first. So I think they're equally as important. I think the fact that we've had success in the running game might give us a little bit more house money and more interest if the philosophy lines up. But then on the defensive side, it's still growing, you know what I mean? So I still think that there's opportunities to see what's out there and find the person that fits the cultures and continue to develop. I think the developmental part of the defense is slightly more important because of where we are as a defense as a whole, maybe than the running backs coach. But it's you got to find 2 guys that are going to fit into these rooms seamlessly as possible, be on board with the scheme, be on board with the players, and keep the momentum going, because we can't really afford to have much of a setback in either position.
Coach Jay, is there a favorite that sticks out to you as far as a running back coach?
Yeah, the TCU kid Jones, easy money. I think he's the best candidate out there, and I think we should throw a decent amount of money at him to get him in before someone else swoops him up. So yeah, for me, there's certainly a clear-cut leader, and hopefully we can get him in the boat.
Yeah,
it'd be really good.
What's the timeline on all this? I mean, realistically, do you have much of experience or back behind the scenes knowledge of like what's the deadline we have to have somebody by? I mean, obviously, Boogie mentioned that the spring game's in like what, a month and a half, so it's like, or less. So it's like,
surely to goodness you want somebody in before spring camp starts in the middle of March.
Right.
Yeah, but really, I think 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was about to
Because
say, if not this week, then next.
You're prepping now for
Yeah.
your season. You're that strategy stuff. I mean, you kind of build it throughout your current season too, to a degree, but really on the back burner. But that's those talks. How is our scheme going to change? How has it evolved? How were teams picking on what we did successfully in 22? How did they take that away in 23? And how are we going to evolve it and change it and put wrinkles in it to make it work in this current season? Are the conversations going on right now? So you are making all your playbook. Your general playbook is out, but all your modifications, all your tweaks, all your wrinkles are being built right now, and those will be installed throughout spring and throughout the preseason. So you need them now because you're building that now. So I would expect that it needs to happen quick, sooner than later. The sooner the better.
I think you got to look at recruiting too, right? Like right now, it's a dead period. There's no recruiting going on, but it's business is about to pick up in March. So sooner rather than later. Guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Had around 200 people watching live. Appreciate you guys. We talk Tennessee football all day, every day. We're not talking basketball and baseball. Nobody cares about that. So stay dialed in. Got recruiting coverage coming your way. Got some live film breakdowns coming your way. All kinds of fun stuff. So get in where you fit in. Smash a thumbs up. Think about hitting that join button. Let's keep those memberships rolling in during the offseason. We appreciate you guys. But this has been a fun one, man. I felt like this was a time that we needed to go live. I made a commitment to you guys throughout the offseason. If there was something worth talking about, we're going to go live. We're going to talk about it. So appreciate you guys tuning in. For Coach Jay, go ahead, Dustin. Wrap us up.
One last little
wrap us up.
Well, no. I'll throw it back to you. But we talked about it before the show started. But shout out to the folks in Maryville with the police shooting there. I'm in Nashville, but I grew up in Maryville, so it's one of those things. I'm sure you feel the same way, Boogie. It's like you never think these kind of things will happen in our little small towns that we grew up in. But shout out to those families that are affected by that, and shout out to the law enforcement for finding the guy and taking care of business. So we appreciate the service.
I like Nealon too, turning the lights blue. Did you see that?
I did. Yeah,
that was a nice little touch.
Yeah.
Does it mean anything? Does it do anything in the grand scheme of things? No. But it was the right move by Tennessee and Neyland Stadium. Coach Rice, who's supposed to be on a date right now. Coach Rice is supposed to be out with his wife, and he's popping in the chat to drop a $2 super chat to say, "Go Big Orange." We missed you tonight, Coach Rice. Appreciate you dropping in, brother. All right, we're going to get out the door. For Coach Jay, for Captain D, my name's Boogie Bentley. This for Dauber, who's lost in the internet world.
He's in the Matrix.
Yep. Go Big Orange.
Unbroken past this inundated orb that we call home.